Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Wednesday, October 8th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. Perlo will be joining us during the show today, as he often does in progress once he gets back, but he'll be with us in just a little bit. We're back and ready to talk about the Wednesday NHL card and looking forward to it once again. Great to have the first night of the season in the books. Great to have NHL back and a fascinating first three games it was. We saw Florida, no Barkov, no Tkachuk, no problem. Still getting a season-opening victory on home ice on banner night, 3-2 over Chicago. Positive signs, though, for the Blackhawks. Didn't love the way they were hemmed in their D zone for extended stretches in that game, as obviously the ice was tilted toward the Panthers for a majority of that game. But Chicago, I thought defensively, they hung in there. They killed some plays in the defensive zone that, kept the score respectable. And obviously, the goaltending of Spencer Knight helped keep it respectable as well. He was terrific, I thought, last night. Deserved probably a better result. But at the end of the day, they didn't generate as much as we thought offensively. But without Alex Vlasic, they defended hard. They played hard. The compete level was there from Chicago. Knight was terrific in net. Frank Nazar, outstanding. Best forward on the ice for Chicago, without a doubt. And what a I got to do this right now. It was just unbelievable. Here we go. Guy Alex B. Smith, unreal. That is the first bargain bin special of the season, cashes in the very first game of the season. And how about to top it off, the very first goal of the season? That's right. Frank Nazar, first goal of the game, 22-1, plus 2,200. We had to do the old bow down when we're westward bound right there for our guy Alex B. Smith. Right there for that call with the bargain bin special. Not only that, but added an assist on the second Chicago goal from Teuvo Teravainen as well. So a 2-point night. I know a few people had that at plus 700. 2 points for Nazar in that game last night. So he was great. I thought Bedard had a pretty good game. I thought he looked more comfortable. I thought he looked a little bit more dangerous. I know he didn't get on the score sheet, but there were things to like from him in that game. He hit the crossbar in the first period. Against Sergei Bobrovsky that easily could have went in. But positives for Chicago, obviously positives for Florida because to be without Barkov and Tkachuk and play that well, we saw the depth contributions. We saw Boquist. We got to start just looking at Boquist in the lineup continues to be an undervalued player. He gets on the scoreboard, a lovely pass, just a great hand-eye coordination play in front of the net by Boquist for the game-winning goal, and Florida gets the win 3-2. But Florida, great job, played well. Positives for them. I think positives really for both teams. Positives for Florida coming out of that game, and I thought Chicago made a good account of themselves. You know who didn't make a good account of themselves? New York fucking Rangers. That's who. What the hell was that last night at Madison Square Garden against the Pittsburgh Penguins? That's Pittsburgh. Rebuilding Pittsburgh. Expected to be one of the poorest teams in the NHL once again this season. Rolling into MSG and basically putting the wet blanket on you for 60 minutes and suffocating you and dominating you and completely choking off your offense last night in that game. I mean, they could barely get anything mustered as far as offense last night, the New York Rangers. They looked slow. They didn't make any plays with the puck. Look, Shilovs was very good, but he didn't have to be spectacular last night because the New York Rangers just weren't that threatening in that game last night. So it was an ugly first game for the New York Rangers. I mean, that's the Pittsburgh Penguins rolling in there and putting a 3-0 shutout on the board against you. Justin Brazeau, 2 goals. Maybe he is worthy of being in the top 6 forward group for this team. But nevertheless, I'll say this about Pittsburgh before we all make it about how awful the Rangers were, and they were the worst team as far as their team performance yesterday of the 3 games, although the team we're going to talk about in a minute was not far behind. The LA Kings, of course, I'm talking about. But we have to give Dan Muse's team credit, Pittsburgh, and Dan Muse, the coach, credit. They were a hardworking bunch last night. They really were. I like the structure. And I mentioned this in the Penguins preview. And now I'm a little bit more convinced of it after seeing last night. This could be an under team this year with their game totals, Pittsburgh. I still don't trust them to light up the scoreboard offensively night to night, especially with Brian Rust out. I still question how much depth they're going to get or how much production they're going to get from the bottom six. But I liked how connected they were in all three zones defensively last night. They were very solid. Now, maybe it's an indictment of the Ranger offense, but I don't think we can completely take it away from how well Pittsburgh played defensively last night. And Dan Muse emphasized team structure and being very, very solid in the D zone throughout training camp. And boy, we saw signs of that last night from the Penguins. Now, I do want to see it against a little bit more of a potent offense moving forward from this Penguins team, but certainly a nice defensive effort. And Shelov's, man, I've seen enough to think he should be the guy. I mean, and I know Tristan Jarry's still there, but my goodness, I think he's a better goalie right now than Tristan Jarry. This guy's coming off the confidence of winning a Calder Cup in Abbotsford with the Abbotsford Canucks last year. I definitely think that Arturs Shelov's certainly should get the majority of the starts moving forward for the Penguins, but a nice 3-0 win for them. And I talk about how bad the Rangers were. The LA Kings were right there with them. That was horrific. They have the nice ceremony for Andrei Kopitar paying tribute to his final season in the NHL about to begin. And obviously we saw they were dominated by Colorado. Colorado was a much better team last night. LA is another team, could barely get anything going. What do they have, 10 shots on goal? Halfway through the hockey game on home ice. Home ice, by the way, where they were dominant last year. LA had a phenomenal home record, one of the best home records in the NHL last year, and could barely get anything mustered last night, made life very easy for Scott Wedgwood. Although when they finally started to pepper him a bit in the third period, took being down 3-0, to finally get something going a little bit, but he was very solid when he had to make the saves. Took a 5-on-3 power play for them to get the one goal that they got in that game. And I just thought it was just too easy of a night for Colorado to just walk in there and handle that LA Kings team. And you talk about a team that looked slow. That blue line, man, I'm telling you, I'm concerned. To me, Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci aren't the pieces that are going to take your blue line and put it over the top. Ken Holland thought so. Ian Cameron doesn't think so. So from that standpoint, I didn't love what I saw from Kemper regression, as Nick Alvento says in the chat, 100%. He's not going to be able to, in my opinion, I've seen enough of Darcy Kemper to know I haven't seen him put two spectacular, above-average seasons together in net back-to-back years. And I think definitely, he's going to have a harder, especially with a weaker blue line now to play behind. It's going to be a little bit more challenging for Kemper. So we came into the season saying, fade the Kings. We don't trust them. We don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. We think they could miss the playoffs under their point total, the whole bit. You heard us all summer on the Kings season preview video, on the Western Conference season preview show, saying it. The Kings are about as high up on the bet against list as it gets for both yours truly and Alex. And Alex, they didn't do much to sway our minds, did they, last night?
No, like I tweeted out late last night, I think someone's getting a Pete DeBoer for Christmas. That might be the LA Kings, because my God,
who asked for Pete DeBoer for Christmas? Maybe the LA Kings.
And here's the thing, right? It wasn't. It's not like, okay, we can blame all this on Hiller. It was just the product on the ice that we saw on paper and said was bad looked as bad as we believed it to be. Like you said, there's no reason why Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci, and the fact that they're paired together, no less. Right, like you put two anchors back there on that bottom six, and they just looked miserable.
That's of that Jim Hiller hockey brain going to work, coming up with that one. Yeah,
and it's just like what year of hockey is he watching? Like, it's the '60s anymore. Like, you can't get things done with big, slow players, and I've always talked about this with goalies the last few years. How all these teams get so wrapped up in having these prospects who are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" in net. Are we starting to see that maybe be a trend now with some of these teams too? They want to just get so much. They want to get so much bigger in size, and then you get these plodding, slow skaters in a league where your best teams in the league are consistently fast and getting faster. And it just didn't make sense. And it was a messy game. I know ESPN couldn't have been happy with the fact that you have a triple header and your best game is your leadoff game, because the night got progressively worse as far as quality of hockey went. And to see home teams like the Rangers and Kings lay eggs, especially the Kings, you come out in your regular uniforms. Then you go back in and come out for the introductions and your brand new alternates. It's Anze Kopitar's last year. The fans are, giving them a big welcome. And that's the kind of hockey you play against a rival team, no less, in Colorado. Like, just lackluster effort. To see that in game one in that spot just, tells me that this is a team that's not built and looks to be kind of almost carrying over the way things ended for them last year. And the Rangers, I think they just kind of, I said it too with that pricing. And the reason why I like the draw is that they play down to teams in that spot. Whenever they're in that, especially once it crosses in that $2 range. We saw that a lot last. I just worried about that part carrying over. And I thought we would see more of an effort offensively from this team because they had such games last year, just like they had last night, where, okay, it's a defensive battle, but then they're not really generating much offense, but they're not taking advantage of what the other team's not doing. And that certainly was the case with Pittsburgh. It wasn't like Pittsburgh was generating a bunch of chances. They weren't moving the puck around much. It looked like a preseason game for all intents and purposes. And that's not supposed to happen for game one at home when you're a Ranger team that had as bad of a year, as disappointing of a year as you had last year with a new coach, and a new coach going against his old team, no less. It was just, that was maddening to me to see just how bad those two teams played last night. The Hawks game, like I said, I was happy with the effort, not happy with the result, of course, because I did have Hawks money line, but Frank Nazar getting things off and rolling. That's goal 1 of 30 plus, hopefully, on the season. And for him to get in the first goal plus 2,200, that was a fantastic cash. Also cashed a little piece of them to score first at plus 950 for first Hawks goal. Came really close to Carter Verhaeghe. He did get the goal in the first period, but it wasn't the first goal for Florida. It was the second. So that was a fantastic first period. But like you said, the Hawks played well defensively. Now, they should have had better entries into Florida zone, but also it is Florida. And the main catalyst of why Florida have won back-to-back cups, those guys are still in the ice. The guys who clog up the neutral zone and make life hard for you and in the cycle game, all those third and fourth line guys were playing last night. So I'm not going to grade the Hawks. I'm going to grade them on a curve a little bit because seldom bottom 10 teams are going to be able to generate offense against Florida this year. But the way they played defensively with Florida being in their zone the whole time, Spencer Knight making 10 bell saves throughout the game, seeing defensemen blocking shots in the absence of Vlasic, mind you, I'm really pleased with that. That is a great sign. And if they can now find a way to generate some offense against some weaker teams like Boston tomorrow night, for example, then things are looking good for the Hawks. That wasn't the worst loss that I've seen from the Hawks in the last couple of years. Had that been last year or the year before, that game would have been 5-2, 6-2 with the number of opportunities and chances Florida had throughout that game.
No doubt. Like I said, positives, even in a loss, I think, for Chicago in that game last night. Oh, we're burying the lead, too, from a betting perspective. How about 3-0 to the under last night with full game? How about that? All three games being under the total. Tough beat if you had Chicago, Florida over 5.5 because that one was 2-1 after the first period and only the 2 goals after that. But Pittsburgh Rangers was a rocking chair under. Avalanche Kings got a little tense at the end, but the under was the right side in that game. So how about that? 3 unders to begin the year in the first 3 games.
And I don't know if that trend will last throughout the week and the coming month. I saw a stat they showed on NHL Network yesterday that historically the last 3 years we've seen an average of 6.4 goals per game in October. This is the highest scoring month of the entire season on average usually. So those were teams, like we said, that all were working to try to do things better defensively. Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York, even LA to an extent. They all made emphasis on trying to be more defensive minded during camp and leading into the season. So now we'll start to see some other matchups I think that can open themselves up to some overs moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know about tonight necessarily, but certainly I see some overs that I like on the card tomorrow.
Within the week, yeah,
no doubt. There are definitely some overs I like coming up tomorrow. Tonight, I do have one I like, which we'll get to in just a moment. All right, good stuff. Let's get into the Wednesday card. We will begin with Montreal and Toronto. As we often do, we begin the season with these two teams, original 6 rivals going head-to-head. The Leafs minus 170, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs will take the ice without Mitch Marner. Matthias Michelli, our Finn/Italian friend, as I like to say, takes over now, and we'll get the first shot to be on that top line with Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes on that top line for the Leafs. Bobby McMahon, John Tavares, William Nylander. Not a surprise based on if you watch the Leafs during the preseason. It's not a surprise that Craig Berube is giving McMahon the first chance to be on the second line. Dakota Joshua, Max Domi, Nick Robertson on the third line. Steven Lorentz, Nick Waugh, and Callie Yarncroke. I'm going back to Callie. He's on the lineup to start the year. Scott Lawton on IR is a shame because he had a nice preseason, but he is currently starting the year injured for the Leafs. And then on the blue line, the usual suspects, really no change from last year. Riley, Carlo, McCabe, Tanev, Ekman Larson, and Benoit. So, status quo pretty much on the blue line. Anthony Stolarz in net. Of course, for tonight's game, Caden Primo, the backup goaltender. They opted to sign Primo off waivers because they want Dennis Hill to play. They want him to get games. They don't want him sitting too long as a backup. So he'll go down to the Marlies, and Caden Primo suddenly starts the season as the backup to Anthony Stolarz. And say what you will about how good he's been in the AHL, Primo. I got to see it at the NHL level from him. That's where the problems have been. Montreal, obviously, we saw them take the big step last year. Strong second half to get into the playoffs. One of the more promising foundations and young cores in the league. Adding Zachary Bolduc in the offseason even makes that forward group better. We'll have to see if he's in the lineup because he was a little bit banged up at the end of preseason. His game time decision for tonight. Same with Ivan Demidov. Keep an eye on his status for this game tonight because he's also been banged up here in training camp and preseason for the Canadiens. But you've got Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky, which was their mainstay top line. Certainly, you've got a pretty good forward group overall with, you still got the bite that a Brendan Gallagher can give you. Josh Anderson, Jake Evans, Alex Newhook. Patrick Laine doesn't give you much on 5-on-5, but he will come through on the power play for sure. The blue line, Noah Dobson added in the offseason. Obviously that's going to help this blue line. Lane Hudson, a spectacular rookie year. What does he have for an encore? You got Caden Gooley healthy to begin the year is great to see. Mike Matheson, the old veteran, is still solid. Struble and Carrier rounding out the blue line. Arbor Jacki, currently this extra seventh defenseman, won't play tonight. Sam Montembeault in net for the Habs. This has been a dominated Toronto series, no doubt. 8-2 they are in the last 10 versus Montreal. But there's some concerns I have for the Leafs. When they put their regular lineup, now I don't want to overreact to preseason, but it was pretty evident. When they had their regular lineup on the ice during the preseason, the Leafs, like the lineup is very similar to what they're going to have tonight, they struggled to score goals, and they actually lost those games. It's really weird to say that, but it's true. When they had Matthews and Tavares and Nyes, and they had the full-bore lineup throughout the preseason, they were losing. It was when they had the AHL guys in there that the Leafs were winning those preseason games. So I think it could take time for the Leafs offensively to get things revved up here early in the season. I'm going to take a shot with Montreal in this spot at plus 150, first game of the season. I think it's going to be, I still think the Leafs are going to be fine. They're too well coached. And remember, Derek Lalonde on that assistant coaching staff, I like that move. He's a guy that, it didn't work in Detroit as a head coach, but don't forget he was an assistant under John Cooper. I think he adds to this coaching staff. They're going to be fine long-term, the Leafs. Still very good defensively. Anthony Stolarz, healthy, and he looked good in the preseason. But there was a real issue with goal scoring for Toronto when they had their regulars in there in the preseason. I think it's going to take time for Michelli to find that chemistry with Matthews and company and Nyes on the top line. And you look at this Montreal team, I think they are going to be a team that I'm going to be looking to back in these kind of spots, getting a nice plus price and going on now, Toronto has played this team well, but I think in this spot with I think an adjustment period is going to happen for the Leafs, especially up front, that Montreal is very much alive in this game, and I like the price enough to bet them. So I'm going to be on Montreal plus 150, and I'll sprinkle on the draw. My first draw bet of the season. Also noting that the last time these teams played last year in the regular season in Toronto, it was 1-0 Leafs in overtime, and the draw did cash in that game. So Montreal and the draw split for me here in this one. Alex, what do you think? Canadiens, Leafs?
It's like borderline. You have to almost play these two teams to the draw when they're playing one another, because over the last 3 years, these have been draw season darlings for sure. But like you said, they also play each other fairly tight. Now it's usually Toronto getting the victory, but we've seen tight, close battles with these two teams, and obviously Montreal. They know that we're growing, we're progressing. We have to beat teams like Toronto. To continue our growth and development within that division. So I definitely think this is going to be a tight battle. It's funny, I was just talking about, I said, I don't think the under trend is going to continue throughout this week, but I like the under in this game. I got it minus $1.07. You can find anywhere $1.10 or cheaper with the under 6 goals. I think this is going to be a goalie battle. I think goals will come in a premium tonight.
As far as player props, I'm going to jump in on Michelli, a goal and an assist. There's value. There's outstanding value, quite honestly, because he's on the top line with Matthews and Nyes. So we're going to take this player right away with player props, because if he produces at all on that top line, Michelli, you're not going to get the prices you're getting right now with his props. So I'm definitely targeting him as far as tonight in this game. You're getting that value. We've lost the bargain bin type value with Nyes. They're finally pricing him like the legit top line player, top flight scorer that he, I think, will be this year. He's only plus 220 to score a goal. Still a pretty decent price, but not those bargain bin prices we were getting last year with Matthew Nyes. Michelli plus 390 to score a goal, plus 230 in some spots to get an assist. So I really do like those prices there that we're getting with Michelli as far as props tonight. Bobby McMahon. Me and Bobby McMahon. No. Bobby McMahon here for the Toronto Maple Leafs on the second line. I think probably worth a sprinkle. And he's in the lineup. When you put him in the lineup, he scores. How many times have we seen it with him in Toronto the last couple of years? Nick Robertson. You got to dabble something in him to find the back of the net. And then for Montreal, as far as props that I would be targeting here, if Bolduc's in, I'm interested, but we're going to have to wait and see on that. Demidov's definitely someone I'm going to be looking at right away. Does a healthy Kirby Dach, make an impression for the Montreal Canadiens? Obviously, last year, only the 57 games, struggled mightily, new lease on life. So potentially maybe looking in his direction. Of course, anything Lane Hudson, power play points, assist props, you name it. Lane Hudson's a good way to go there as far as that's concerned. Does Noah Dobson maybe shoot the puck a little bit more? Excited, anxious to make his Habs debut, possibly, and maybe his props are worth consideration, at least in my opinion. So those are some of the props and players I'm targeting here in this one. Here he is. You'll see him every Monday and Wednesday once again with us on the Ice Guys show, our good friend Perlo. Perlo, welcome back. Good to have you back for another season, Mondays and Wednesdays with us. What do you think here for Montreal and Toronto?
I'm going to throw a little bit on Montreal here. You got a plus 145. I think Toronto's going to have a little problems chemistry-wise, especially the first period. I like Montreal first period. I think they're going to have a little problems chemistry-wise. Michelli, a lot of people are talking about him as a guy that's going to be a solid replacement for Marner, but when he was in Utah, he was used very not sparingly isn't the right word, but he was used in situational spots. He was used against lower competition as much as possible, and now he's going to have to play up on the top line on a regular basis here. I don't think they're going to be moving him up a lot, so I still like him for an assist here, because if that line's going to score, he's probably going to be in on it. But I'm not really as sold as a lot of people are on Michelli. I would actually think the second line might be better tonight for them. But Montreal, we saw them last year coming out of the gate. They are just a powerhouse as far as energy is concerned. And Toronto's going to have to keep that up. You mentioned that they looked a little sluggish in the preseason, sort of like they were kind of going through the motions. Well, if that's the case here, I think they're going to be in trouble. So I'm throwing a little bit on them. I'm throwing a little bit on team total over, and I have Montreal to score in the first period at minus 135. I'm just going to give them a shot. I've said right from the beginning, I think Toronto is going to start out a little slow, having chemistry problems. I don't like the fact that it is, their home opener and all that kind of stuff like that. But I think that even gives Montreal even more motivation. I know that the record against Toronto has been rough, but this is a different Montreal team now. This is a team that gelled all year last year. And this is a huge game for them. It should be a huge game for Toronto as well, in a sense, but I don't think they're going to have the same urgency as Montreal is here. So I'm going to give them a shot to pull one off here in Toronto.
All right, Boston and Washington. We've got the Capitals minus 190 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Of all 4 games on the card tonight, this is the one I don't have as much on, quite honestly. I mean, I don't want to back Boston, but I'm not going out there in the first game of the year laying minus 190. We saw how sometimes laying big prices, even against teams you think are going to be pretty bad, can get you in trouble. Look at a certain Rangers-Penguins game last night as a perfect example of that. So, like I said, we know Washington's a better team right now and better situation. I can think of better things to do with my money and my betting accounts than lay minus 190 in the first night of the year with the Washington Capitals. I do think they probably win this game, get the job done. It'll be interesting to see Jeremy Swayman last year. We know how he's held out for the contract, didn't have any training camp preseason, and it set him back. He came out and he was terrible to begin the season. Now he's obviously under contract in camp for the full training camp preseason. Does this help him, to have a better start and play better in net to begin the year? You do have to consider that. Again, the questions here for Boston is Geekie is going to have to continue to produce. And I love Geekie. Geekie's been great for them, but he's got to keep it going because you don't have the depth of the forward group that you've had in the past. But Geekie, Lindholm, Pasternak, Zacha, Middlestat, Arvidsson. And keep in mind, Middlestat's been erratic. Arvidsson can't stay healthy or hasn't been able to stay healthy on a consistent basis the last couple years. So even the top 6 could go south at some point. And then who the hell's going to step up in the bottom 6? Who's Nadinov, Kuraly, Kastelik? Jeannot is not going to give you much offensively. AC Mont. So it becomes pretty thin, as far as the bottom 6 forwards are concerned for the Boston Bruins. Lowry, McAvoy, Lindholm, Peak, Zadorov, who, Zadorov had some shaky moments in the preseason, and we know he struggled last year. So, like I said, there's some concerns. Now, Jimmy Murphy, our resident Bruins guy, says he thinks this team they're going to get shelled and teams are going to be able to score on them. So if you take Jimmy's word as pretty accurate when it comes to the Bruins, then maybe you look at a Capitals team total over possibly in this game tonight. But I'm taking a wait-and-see approach with Boston. A lot of moving parts. New head coach, obviously, in Marco Sturm, who's got a pretty big challenge here ahead of him. We'll see how it goes. Washington, to me, I like Washington still, but don't like them at this price. There is a few props I like, though, in this game, which we'll get to in a moment. Honestly, this is a flat-out side and total pass. I have a few props I like in this game, which I'll get to, but nothing bet pregame, side or total for me here. Alex, Bruins, Capitals.
Yeah, the only thing I have pre-game bet is Alexei Protas anytime goal plus 320. It's bargain bin range, but it's not my bargain bin pick. It's just a regular play. And then I'm waiting for a live betting action. This will be the first of the 2 on TNT. So this will be this is a game I have live circled. So I dropped in about 4 live bets last night on Patreon in the live betting chat. That is back up again. So definitely make sure to check that out at patreon.com. This will be the game that I have featured for some live plays tonight.
There you go. Live bets, yes, throughout the season on the live chat. We have live chat rooms, multiple live chat rooms set up for our Patreon members at patreon.com/Ice Guys. So make sure you check that out. One of the many perks of being a Patreon Ice Guys member. So make sure you check that out. I'm going to give it away now since Alex mentioned it. That is actually my bargain bin special. You'll hear about it later on in the show. Alexei Protas plus 330. That's just an insane price given he's on the top line, given that he got 30 goals last year, given that he's playing with Strome and Ovechkin here on that top line. So there you go. The cat's out of the bag early. Normally I will not reveal my bargain bin special of the night ahead of the segment, but it's just too good to pass up. Alexei Protas plus 330 is my bargain bin special. You'll hear about it later in the show. Perlo, Boston, Washington.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy Murphy. I mean, I think the Bruins will get shelled, but I also think that the Bruins are not going to score very much. They've got two guys that can score on that team, maybe Lindholm. There's only one line you got to take care of, and the rest is pretty easy. I think this is going to be a slow game. I'm leaning kind of the under here overall, but like Jimmy said, maybe the Bruins get shelled. So I'm going to take Bruins team total under at -135 for about a quarter unit. I think the Capitals will win in regulation, but like I said, I want to see. The only thing is that the Bruins that holds me back is, do you have the new coach? And you have that Bruins pride, and they don't know they're bad yet. Once they know they're bad, I'll be taking Bruins to lose games big time a lot more. But right now they don't, and I think you've also mentioned that the Capitals it could be a letdown spot right early for them after the big Ovechkin getting his goals and all that last year. So I'm a little bit concerned about it, but I do think they'll hold them down. If it's going to be, if the Capitals are going to come out soft, I still think the Bruins are not going to score over 2 goals in this game. So I'll take Bruins team total under. I also have Protas to score a goal. I also took him over shots at -120 for a little bit. Then I have a little. If Washington does score, I like that whole line to score. You can get Strome assist, Ovechkin point, and Protas for a goal at +300. So I'm going to take a little shot at that. As far as Bruins are concerned, I took, if you like the Bruins at all, take Geeky for a point at -120 as well, and Pasternak to score and Geeky for a point. Like, I'll be doing that all year, because if they're going to score, those two guys are probably going to be in on it. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
They're going to need that line to be monsters for them. No question about it. Pasternak, Geeky on that top line, they're going to have to be big for the Bruins throughout this season, because, like I said, that bottom six, I can't think of too many people that are going to be consistent, reliable, offensive performers for them. So Lindholm, Pasternak, Geeky, they're going to have it going offensively here for the Bruins throughout this season, no question, if they're going to score goals at a consistent clip. All right, Calgary, Edmonton, the Battle of Alberta is back on. We've got Edmonton -210, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. We know the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm sure they already have heard about it, because I've heard the media ask them about the slow starts they've had, in recent years in the regular season. Obviously, the big news, and Cloud 9, everybody excited that the Connor McDavid contract for the next 2 years. And like I said, at least for the next couple of years, he's signed and will be in the fold here with the Edmonton Oilers. Very interesting how Chris Knobloch was going to deploy the lineup tonight, especially up front, because we know Zach Hyman is not ready to return. And ultimately, he's your top option to slot in there with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. But obviously, you don't have Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman available right now, still on IR to begin the year. So he has decided and tabbed Trent Frederick to fill that right wing side on the top line with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Now, Trent Frederick, his standout offensive season was 2 years ago, right? With Boston. He had 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points, best offensive season in the NHL. Last year, it just went the other way. It was a struggle of a season for him to produce 8 goals, 7 assists, and just 15 points in 58 games for him last year. But I think what Chris Knobloch kind of sees here, putting Trent Frederick in that top line spot with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, is someone that can at least go to the front of the net, use that physical frame of his, be in the right areas to try to score goals. And look, you're playing with 2 phenomenal players, so maybe you're going to be in a position, to be able to find that back of the net, just based on, you're playing with 2 of the best players in the entire NHL right now. So, we'll see if he's going to give it a shot. It's one of these deals where, if it doesn't work, it's likely he's going to be, put the lines in a blender at some point tonight if he finds the chemistry's off and it's not really working and not clicking. So, but he is going to start Frederick there with McDavid and Draisaitl. Andrew Mangiapane, a new addition in the offseason. Looks like he'll play with the Nuge, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And someone that I have bet some props on tonight, and I'm going to take the Frederick props, goal and an assist, just because of where he's going to be tonight with Draisaitl and McDavid. I think just based on that, you have to take a shot, that Trent Frederick can maybe make an impact here. It's one of these deals where we often say a broomstick can be made to look good on the ice when you're playing with Connor McDavid. So from that standpoint, Trent Frederick plus 365 to score a goal, plus 260 assist. I don't mind taking a shot with that. Like I said, if he's ever going to get some offense going, it's playing with those two guys. But keep an eye on Matt Savoy. Matt Savoy was one of the players that they really coveted in that trade with Buffalo, the trade that sent Ryan McLeod the other way. And Matthew Savoy had a very good preseason. I think he's going to be a pretty solid, consistent NHLer, maybe not right away, but certainly down the road. And he's anywhere up to plus 500 to find the back of the net tonight, and plus 215 to get an assist, plus 140 to get a point. I think Matt Savoy is definitely a player that I've got circled. Keep an eye on this guy. He could be one of these players that when we question Edmonton's forward depth this year, if Matt Savoy can play, the way I think he might be able to, it's going to go a long way to alleviate those concerns. You've got, obviously, Kasperi Kapanen. If he plays like he did for extended stretches with Edmonton last year, he could help alleviate some of those concerns. But it's the rest of them. Like Podkolzin's been an offensive disappointment. Henrique's offense, kind of tailed off last year. Where are you going to get consistent production from the bottom group is a bit of a concern for me for Edmonton. The blue line, it's a blue line that at times they outperform the way it looks on paper. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Kulak, Emberson, your usual suspects. Jake Wallman is out to begin the season, and that's a guy that's pretty solid defensively, shot blocks, all that he provides. So Alec Regula is going to end up taking his spot and be on the blue line tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. And then obviously you've got Skinner making the start in net and Pickard backing him up. This is a rivalry, and I don't hate the idea for one night with obviously our guy Dustin Wolf in net for Calgary, taking a shot maybe with Calgary plus 180. Maybe I will for pizza money. But there's nothing really a strong opinion I have on this side. This would just be for a very, very small play here in the late night hours. But I can't lay minus 210 with Edmonton. That much I can tell you here on this very first night of the season. And with at least with Wolf and net, this is a guy that's capable of, even if the run of play goes against Calgary in this game, he's capable of keeping his net, much like Spencer Knight did for Chicago yesterday. Gave Chicago a chance to win that game, kept them in it. And there are concerns, obviously, too, from an injury standpoint for Calgary. Martin Pospisil, Jonathan Huberdeau starting the season on IR. But that does open up the door for some new faces to maybe make an impact. Look at how Ryan Huska is deploying his top line here tonight. Adam Klapka and Joel Farabee, who I think both have good value in their props. If you trust Calgary to score at all tonight, then Adam Klapka and Joel Farabee being matched up with Nazem Kadri, on the top line, that definitely screams great prop value. Farabee's plus 425 at Bet Rivers to score a goal, plus 290 to get an assist, and you turn that around to the big Czechia player Adam Klapka, plus 500 to get a goal, plus 190 to get an assist. So that's great value for two guys that are going to be getting top line opportunity tonight, in my opinion, for the Calgary Flames going into this game. Coronado, who we know is a bit of a goal scorer playing on the second line with Frost. Well, interesting to see Matvei Greedon here, the 19-year-old who's going to be getting an opportunity. 28th overall pick, first round last year. He's going to make his NHL debut here. Kind of one of these deals where it's a trial run. They're going to see how it goes. Then they got 8 or 9 games to see what he can do. And if they don't like the way he's progressing, they can send him back down to the American Hockey League. That's probably what they're going to do with Matvei Greedon for the Flames tonight. So those are a couple of the props, Greedon, Coronado, Klapka, and Farabee. I think there's some value there with those two guys. The blue line after Anderson and Weegar, there's still some holes there with Joel Hanley, Kevin Ball, Jake Bean. Braden Pahal plays a physical game. He's got some sandpaper to him, but like I said, the Calgary blue line is not littered with depth, and that means there's going to be a lot of duress on Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf over saves I could see maybe being worth a look tonight in this game. I don't dabble in save props too much, but I did point out Spencer Knight over saves might have been worth a look yesterday as far as save props. And if I were to bet a save prop on the board tonight, I'd maybe look at Dustin Wolf here for Calgary over saves in this game. So I'm going to dabble slightly in Calgary plus 180, but not an overly strong opinion or big bet. See, Alex, what do you think here? Calgary, Edmonton.
This is a game where I'm treading lightly. The only player that I have is my bargain bin in this. I don't have anything on the side or total, but there's one player that I do have circled for the bargain bin that I like quite a bit.
All right, Perla, what do you think here? Battle of Alberta.
Well, I'd like to mention also that all of these are small bets too. We're in the beginning of the season, so I'm just throwing a little sliver on it. You hear it every year. This is the year Edmonton doesn't have the slow start. How long have we been hearing that for? About freaking 8 years now. Edmonton's not going to have a slow start this year because of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. Edmonton's going to have a slow start. I'm taking, especially this year, you've got Savoy. Savoy's just a kid, right? He got a little bit used to playing with Draisaitl before, but now they're going to play him with Hopkins. I imagine that's going to change over the game, but they're going to start him off like that. He's going to be playing with Hopkins. He never really played with Hopkins before. Frederick hasn't really played on that top line for a while. So I think Edmonton could definitely start off slow here or have trouble altogether. At plus 185, really? Plus 185, I'm going to take a little shot on Calgary. What the heck? I don't know their lineup doesn't look too pretty either, but we're talking about two teams that hate each other. You're going to see power plays probably either way. I'm not sure about the total because both teams are having lines that haven't played with each other before, so it could be a little bit funky out there. But I think at plus 185, it's certainly worth the shot.
Regarding the total, Perlo, just for a second, I want to point out 3 unders. All 3 games went under last year in the Battle of Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be tight and I wouldn't even mind. You could throw. I'm going to actually, now that I'm talking it out, I'm going to throw a little bit on a draw too. I think this could be a draw on this game. I'm going to put a little bit on Mangiapane. Playing against his old team at plus 450. He's going to be up there on the second line. I also got the Klapka pick. Also, with those two guys flanking Kadri, I think he's going to be shooting a ton. He's not going to be passing off to those guys. Both of those guys are going to the net. Farabee and Klapka are going to the net, and he's going to be shooting. So
especially Klapka, big body, shield the goalie. Yeah, that's his game on that line. Yeah. That's his job. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't see him passing the puck around too much 5-on-5 there. He's looking for a shot. So I'm going to take him over 3.5 shots at plus 120. And for Oilers props, because of the way the lines are set up, I do think Draisaitl is going to come out hard here in the first period. And you can get him over 1.5 shots in the first period at plus 250. I like that. I'm going to take a little bit on Draisaitl to shoot quite a bit. Also, with the lines being like that, you start to not know where your guy is. Where do you go? You go to the point, right? So I think there's going to be a lot going through Bouchard today. Over 2.5 shots at minus 135. I think that's a great pick, especially when he's going to be on the playoffs. And I'll take him to score a goal too at plus 440. That's not too shabby. A Bouchard bomb against Calgary. For sure. And what are you going to do when you can't score on Wolf? You're going to be playing around with it, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, okay, we got to get guys to the net and score on Wolf. So if he's hot, Bouchard's going to be bombing like crazy. So I really like that pick. I might even ladder it actually. And you said Frederick for a goal and assist if he's going to stay up like that. I have a feeling they're going to mix the lines up a little bit. That's not my favorite pick, but I'm going to go with Calgary. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to stick with Calgary. I was going to say team total over, but I don't know how this game's going to go, to tell the honest truth, except for the fact that plus 185. Oh, and the draw. I'll put a little bit on the draw. But I really like that Bouchard play, probably more than anything in the Kadri play as far as shots are concerned, score, goal, Kadri, whatever props you want to put.
Yeah, Draisaitl first goal, says Aaron, and we know that cashed a handful of times last year in the Edmonton Oilers games. I don't know what it is, but something about Mr. Draisaitl getting that first goal of the game. It happened.
And definitely, that's definitely a guy where you'd want to go not just first goal of the game, first home team goal for this particular spot too. We saw that a lot with Edmonton. Him and Hyman the last couple of years. Those were the two guys, of course, that kind of cashed in that department a lot.
Yeah, no question. All right, to the nightcap. Los Angeles Kings, Vegas Golden Knights. How about a back-to-back to begin the season for the LA Kings? So the schedule makers putting them to the test early. Vegas minus 200 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Of course, this is the second game of the TNT doubleheader for this Wednesday night. First game being Boston, Washington. This is the second game. And the TNT studio crew is going to be on site in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena for their broadcast tonight, and including a 90-minute pregame show starting at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So hats off to TNT, once again putting ESPN to shame with the coverage of the NHL in comparison. Although I will say TJ Oshie, solid job. He was pretty solid in his debut last night for the ESPN. But still, TNT does circles around them. And a 90-minute pregame is going to be great to see that. And now with NBA out of the mix for TNT, they're, I think, going to be really pushing NHL. Not that they weren't. They always gave the NHL, quality coverage. But I think even more so now, the push for NHL will be strong from the Turner people because they no longer have NBA on their network. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. What I want to keep an eye on here is if the Los Angeles Kings are going to play one lick better than they did last night, because they're going to need to in this game, obviously, facing a Vegas. Now, again, we've talked about this situation before. Is it sometimes better for the team to have a game under their belt versus a team that hasn't played yet in the regular season? Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, no question. But not with this LA team, for me, am I totally buying into that here in this spot, because there's nothing I really saw from them that I liked in any way, shape, or form. Offense was hard to come by. Thought their defensive game, like I said, they looked sluggish. They were losing puck battles. They took way too many penalties last night. Total lack of discipline. And that's coaching, too. We talk about how much we've been hammering away like a fucking human pinata on Jim Hiller, and rightfully so, since last year. But, that's bad coaching, too, when your team lacks discipline. And you can't be in the penalty box all night the way the LA Kings were last night. And you don't get nobody gets in rhythm. Your forward group doesn't get in any flow, any rhythm when you're killing penalties most of the game. And that's what we saw with the Kings last night. They struggled to get much of anything going. And their defensive game and their goaltending, I think, is going to take a big step back. You lose Gavrikov, on that blue line, and Cody Ceci and Dumoulin are your replacements. I mean, that's not exactly a blue line that I'm trusting to shut you down on a nightly basis. You turn this around to Vegas, and Vegas is a team that we know for years under Cassidy. The offense can be great. It can be subpar. It's been, there's been times the offense has looked great for Vegas. There's been times it's struggled, but they've always had the backbone on the blue line and reasonably good goaltending, although Aiden Hill did take a step back last year. This year, they're going to be changing their spots a little bit. This is potentially, certainly in the top 6, as good as it's been for Vegas in a long time. I mean, obviously, you're adding a 100-point player in Mitch Marner, and we can say all we want about his playoff shortcomings and his lack of his blunders defensively in the playoffs, but we're talking regular season, and we're talking tonight. He is going to absolutely make Vegas a better offensive team. There is no question about that. Power play, 5-on-5 even strength. He will make them better. I already saw chemistry developing with Jack Eichel. I mean, you think of how good that duo could be together. Jack Eichel with Mitch Marner and with close shave Ivan Barbashev on that line to kind of be the grunt work player on that line, open up ice for Eichel and Marner with the physical play. That line looks like it's going to have good chemistry, and the line to watch out for, not only tonight for Vegas, but moving forward. Riley Smith seems like when he goes back to Vegas, he remembers how to play hockey at his highest level. It's been a struggle wherever else he's been, but he dons those Golden Knights colors and he turns into, a bona fide, top 6 forward again. And we're seeing that with Riley Smith. William Karlsson is someone that if he can be an offensive, consistent producer for Vegas to go with Stone and Smith, and you got that as your top 6 to go with the Eichel, Marner, Barbashev line, that really makes you a dangerous team. And Dorofeyev, obviously established himself as a guy that could great release, could put the puck in the net. And to think now, you look at this bottom 6, Colton Sissons is not a complete is not completely devoid of offense. Brett Howden's capable of chipping in from the bottom six offensively, and you've still got the old veterans like Brandon Saad and Tomas Hertl. You suddenly have a deeper forward group for the Vegas Golden Knights, and a big part of that is adding a guy like Mitch Marner. Blue line's still pretty solid. They'll miss Pietrangelo. Heartbreaking to see his career might be over, but McNabb, Theodore, Hannafin, White Cloud, Jeremy Lauzon, and Caden Korzak's a pretty good blue line, and obviously Aiden Hill. We'll see if he's able to bounce back. The way I see this game is LA's going to have a hard time on a back-to-back for the first time this year defending Vegas. I really, truly think that. I think Vegas is going to be able to get their offense going. I like already the Marner and Eichel chemistry we saw in the preseason develop. Mitch Marner is going to be excited as all get out to make his Golden Knights debut, especially in the Fortress tonight at T-Mobile Arena for the first time. I like Vegas team total over 3.5. That's what I'm going to take here. We saw Colorado score 4 goals last night against the LA Kings. I think Vegas at home gets 4, and I'm on the full game over. This is the one full game over that I like tonight. There are still some 5.5s out there. 5.5 minus 128, minus 130. I think this game goes over the total. 8 of the last 10 meetings, by the way, LA Kings versus Vegas Golden Knights. 8 of the last 10 have had at least 6 goals. So that's why if you can find that 5.5, I think it does end up going over the total. I know the Kings didn't offer much offensively last night against Colorado, but if anything, the focus now, after being so defensively focused in preseason and training camp, now after last night where you didn't get much going and generate much, now I think that it shifts to, well, we got to get our offense going a little bit here tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. One goal is not going to win us a hockey game. And it was one goal by Kevin Fiala on a 5-on-3 power play. So if I'm LA, I'm emphasizing trying to get a little more aggressive tonight as far as offense is concerned against this Vegas Golden Knights team. So I like full game over 5.5, and I also like Vegas team total over 3.5 here tonight in this one. Alex, the second game on TNT's Wednesday night doubleheader. What are you liking here with LA and Vegas?
Yeah, LA and back-to-backs is going to be an interesting watch because I don't think they're going to have much legs in most of their back-to-backs because they don't seem to have a lot of legs in their front half of back-to-backs as far as defense goes. And Vegas is a team that can skate you to death. And like you said, if LA thinks they're going to have to try to be a little bit more tempo to get their offense rolling, they'll find themselves in a 7-4, 7-5 loss. And if they try to hold back, then they'll just get crushed 5-2. So I like Vegas regulation minus $1.25. I like Vegas team total over 3.5. You get plus 100 at FanDuel. I saw minus $1.08 at a couple of places to try to get the best price available on that. And I also like this first period over 1.5. I got minus $1.20. It's up to $1.25. If you see anything higher than $1.30, I'd say wait and grab that in game. But I think we see goals early and often. And it's going to be mostly on the Vegas side. I also like Barbashev, anytime goal scorer. Still within bargain bin range, but that's just a regular play for me. I have a goal scorer, and they'll all be on the Patreon. I have at least one goal scorer for each of the 4 games tonight. That's separate of my bargain bin play.
Yeah, Anton Forsberg likely starts. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed, but you got to assume it's going to be Anton Forsberg here on a back-to-back. And again, with a blue line that I've got questions about for the Kings, how well is he going to perform? And this is a guy that's been up and down, erratic, inconsistent, injuries galore over the years, going back to his time with Columbus and Ottawa most recently. So, and what are his career? I'm interested to see what are his career numbers in the NHL here. I'm just taking a look right now with Forsberg. Yeah, it's in that like 900 save percentage, 3.1 goals against type of range. That's not great, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, I like Vegas team total over. And like I said, I think the full game over hits too, because I think the Kings push for more offense tonight, considering they only scored 1 against Colorado last night. Perlo, what do you think here? Kings Golden Knights.
Oh, there's a lot of ways to go on this one. I agree with everything you guys said about Vegas and LA. I put in the chat last night, Hiller's like the worst coach, and this guy's just ass. Unbelievable. He's with the lineup he has and the way he tries to play, it's just ridiculous. LA was horrible on the road last year, and I think that's just going to keep on going here. Vegas, they fell off the map after the trade deadline last year because Pietrangelo, now I know why, because Pietrangelo was hanging on by a thread, and so was Stone, and they were waiting for the team to bring them some bring them some people to help them out through the playoffs. And when they didn't get it, they just went south. Well, now they got it. They got Marner. So I think everybody's going to be in a really good mood in Vegas. And I agree with you. The team total over 3.5 is a great way to go. If you like Vegas like I do too, I'm going to take Vegas money line and Marner to get an assist. If he doesn't get an assist in that win, it's pretty unlikely. That's plus 120. So now you turn, just in case Vegas does have a tough time with LA, they'll probably, if they win in overtime or something, Marner probably gets an assist and you get plus 120 on the play. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take Barbashev for a goal at plus 310. Why not? He's up there on that top line. He could probably pot one as well. And I have Marner over 1.5 shots at minus 145. That's a heck of a. I can't see him not getting 2 shots. Yeah,
he is talking about shooting the puck more and trying to score more goals. And Toronto was banging their head against the wall trying to get him to do that for years.
Yeah, I mean, he usually was able to get 2 shots most of the time, but they wanted him to get a heck of a lot more than that. And with what, like you said, I think he's going to be told to shoot a lot more here. Also a new team and everything. He wants to get those shots on net, get that first goal. I really like that. And Marner over 2.5 shots and Marner for an assist is plus 100. So those are my picks for that.
Yeah, I think that was right there with Protas for me as one of my next choices for bargain bin special for tonight was Barbashev. You can get him plus 330 in some spots to score a goal. And again, he's playing with Eichel and Marner tonight on that top line. And even his assist prop, too, plus 230. Although I think he's going to be on the receiving end. Those are 2 guys that can pass the puck, Eichel and Marner. So don't be shocked if he's on the receiving end of that. That goal prop at plus 330 is a really good price to me on Barbashev, given his spot there in the lineup tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. No question about that. All right, great stuff. That's your Wednesday NHL card. You can hear Perlo. Perlo's image is frozen. Video is frozen right now, but you can still hear him with us on this Wednesday. Good to have Perlo back. Perlo will be with us Mondays and Wednesdays once again this season on the Ice Guys. Appreciate all of you joining us. Too many to name, but so many familiar names and faces in the chat. We thank you so much once again for joining us for a brand new season of the Ice Guys show. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. WizardSportsPicks.com. Make sure you check out that website. What a great roster of handicappers we've assembled there, including me, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson. So make sure you check it out, WizardSportsPicks.com. Again, single game premium picks available now. We'll be rolling out multiple game pick packs and longer term subscription options in the near future as well. And of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. We saw a lot of signups the last 2 days. Thank you. We appreciate that from all of you guys. And now's the time. Look, if you were a Patreon member before yesterday, you got the card and you saw it. All that great bargain bin hit from Alex B. Smith, obviously, with the Frank Nazar first goal, plus 2,200. Best bet for me, my first best bet of the season, cash, Chicago goal in the first period yesterday against Florida. So, like I said, off to a solid start. That's what we're looking for. Winners in various facets, sides, totals, player props, bargain bin specials, you name it. The daily card gets posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Sides, totals, player props, goalie charts, totals charts, tons of bonus content, videos, bonus shows coming on the way, bonus exclusive live bet casts for the Ice Guys show later in the season, live chat rooms so that you can talk to all the other Ice Guys Patreon members. And I see great discussion there, exchanging opinions, thoughts, picks, bets that you're making, a live betting chat room, and I'll be getting involved with that. Certainly tomorrow I'm going to be getting involved with that, the live chat room.
I'll be in tonight.
Live bets. No doubt, because I'm sure there's going to be tons of opportunities. So make sure you check it out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got a sale going on right now for the next 5 days. 20% off all orders, $70 or more. So now is a good time. You're getting stuff for yourself, maybe a loved one, some friends. multiple things for the wintertime. This is the perfect time to do it. You save 20% off all orders, $70 or more. That's for the next 5 days. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, we will be back with Bargain Bin Special of the Night and Best Bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including our brand new smoke sponsor, Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with the promo code ICEGUYS. Before we get into Bargain Bin Special of the Night and Best Bets, I do want to mention a couple of our live betting systems that we're keeping an eye on. And they percolated a little. They almost percolated in live betting systems and full game systems. The full game system I wanted to bring up, system play. Remember, we started to integrate system plays last year. Team off a shutout loss, betting the first period over and the full game over in the next game. We're going to have one of those on tap already with the New York Rangers when they play the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow night. The Rangers off a shutout loss, the first shutout loss of the season. So this was an angle that last year, there was a time after the Four Nations face-off that angle went down the drain and it struggled. Right. And it wasn't hitting and it wasn't cashing at the clip that it did early in the year. But early in the year, this was a damn good betting angle. Off a shutout loss, first period over, full game over in the next game. That is in effect for the first time this season with the New York Rangers tomorrow night against the Buffalo Sabres. So this is definitely going to be an angle that we're going to keep tracking. And the live betting angle I want to mention, and I reaped the benefits of it last night in the Colorado-LA game, scoreless first period, bet second period over. And maybe you could even bet a live full game over if you want, because I think the full game over at that time was 4.5. And that would have cashed because the game ended with 5 goals, 4-1. So, again, that scoreless first period, bet second period over, 1.5. You could bet it second period during the first intermission or wait till you get a better price early in the second period, and that's usually what I opt to do. If I can't find minus 120 during the intermission, I'll wait for minus 120 with the second period over. But, again, scoreless first periods, betting the second period over, it has been a good angle as well. Something to keep in mind for future reference. Go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, that was a great hit by you, and like I said, that was something that was definitely cashing, and you can even add a little bit to that. I've been seeing it, and this is something that I'll be just kind of eyeballing. No official trend yet, but goals in the first 10 minutes of the second period off of a scoreless first period as well. Not only do we see those goals, they usually come quite early within that first 5 to 10 minute span. So sometimes you'll see minute blocks, especially I know BetMGM will do that. They'll have things blocked off. They'll say 21 minutes to 25 minutes, and that'll be for second period, kind of in-game spots. Those are something to look at too, especially if you've seen good pace in the last 10 minutes of the first period, but no scoring. That's something to kind of look for as well. So there's a little subset within that kind of setup in that system.
No doubt. Yeah, definitely. So just wanted to mention those because, like I said, we're going to be trying to take advantage of them and certainly tracking them throughout the season. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the Night. I mean, Alex, we'll start with you. I mean, how the hell do you follow that up? My goodness, Frank Nazar, first goal, plus 2,200, but he sure will try, and don't put it past him to succeed. Alex, Bargain Bin Special.
Yeah, no pressure. We just got to keep on rolling. I like that Battle of Alberta game. Like I said, the only play that I have as of right now is this Bargain Bin Special. And it's Matthias Ekholm. Anytime goal scorer plus 800. Just signed a 3-year contract extension. So he's right along there with McDavid and the rest of the company saying, hey, we got to do something now in the next 2 years to get things rolling. Let's get over this hump. Otherwise, they're probably going to be going somewhere else. And this is a guy 15 years in his career, 31 games against Calgary. Calgary is one of 2 teams he has never scored a goal against. I think that changes tonight. So give me Matthias Ekholm, anytime goal scorer, plus 800. That's my Bargain Bin Special for night number 2 in the NHL.
The Swedish Viking, Matthias Ekholm. There you go. That's what I like to call him. Matthias Ekholm, plus 800 for the Edmonton Oilers with Bargain Bin Special of the night. Perlo, what do you got for Bargain Bin?
Okay. Geez. I don't know which ones I want to choose here. I'm going to go. Can I do 2? I'm going to do Bouchard for Bushbaum at plus 440. And I'm going to do Barbashev as well.
I like him.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that Barbashev one. That's a good one. Close shave, Barbashev, and the Bushbaum, Evan Bouchard for Edmonton. So Evan Bouchard, Edmonton, and Ivan Barbashev for Vegas. Ivan Barbashev, as I mentioned, plus 330, and Evan Bouchard for Edmonton plus 450. My Bargain Bin Special, and I mentioned it already. I'll just reiterate it. Alexei Protas, you're going to give me a 30-goal scorer that came into his own, playing with Strome and Ovechkin, playing on the top line, and you're going to give me an opportunity to take him at plus 330 to score a goal tonight. I will take it. Alexei Protas for Washington, plus 330 for my Bargain Bin Special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like here for best bet?
Let's head on out to the 702 Viva Las Vegas. I like the Golden Knights to take care of business against this Kings team. Second night of back-to-back. They looked dreadful. They looked slow. They looked as miserable as we thought they would, mentioning them in their season preview. So give me the Kings, give me the Golden Knights to beat the Kings in regulation. Minus 125 is the best price available. Vegas Golden Knights in regulation is my best bet.
Vegas in regulation, minus 125 for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. Perlo, best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the same game. I'm going to take the team total over 3.5 for Vegas. And I've got one more. I'll take that Marner over shots at over 1.5 shots. So those are my 2 best bets for today.
It's a rare day on the show where our best bets are all from the same game, but it is happening. Mine is from LA Vegas too. I will go with the full game over 5.5 at minus 128, best price out there. I think Vegas will get their 4 goals because I do like their team total. I think the Kings chip in 2 at least, and we get this game over the total. By the way, all 4 LA Vegas games last year went over the total, and the scores were 6-1, 6-3, 5-2, and 6-5. All 4 games between Vegas and LA went over the total last year. So I think that can continue tonight. Kings, Golden Knights, over 5.5, minus 128 for my best bet.
Well, since this is rare that we're all in the same game, what does this in a parlay look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegas team total over 3.5, over 5.5 full game, and the Vegas and reg. That's very fast.
That should be my
bargain. I'm going to plug this in. So we got over... All right, we got Vegas over 5.5, and then team total over. And then wait, Perlo, you also had what was the shots?
Marner over 1.5.
Marner
shots.
over 1.5, so 2 or more shots. All right, we're plus 325, and then when we add in team total, Vegas team total over 3.5, just plus 325.
That's not bad. It's a bargain bin worthy. Same game parlay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So the same, if you want a little bit of everything that we all have. Yeah, a little group bargain bin, if you will. Yeah.
We will mention it for sure if it hits.
Yeah.
But there you go. Vegas and reg. Vegas team total over 3.5 and full game over 5.5. There you go. Plus 325 in a same game parlay. So if you're feeling that confident in our best,
bump it up even a little higher. Marner for an assist. Yeah. Marner for assist on top of that too.
There you go. Yeah, I like that one. I do like that one. I think he does pick up an assist tonight, minus 130
Plus 461 when you add the first period over in there.
Yep. Marner assist. Marner assist, first period over. We throw some more things into this.
Okay, I'm going to throw that out to some
more into the pot.
my
You know,
people
get
for
this up to
plus 493 with all of that included. Marner assist and first period over included. Plus 493 at FanDuel.
There you
Not
go.
bad.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
I might dabble in that just for some.
Yeah.
You know, I like
Throw a beer on it.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. See if we are able to make some magic here with that Vegas and LA SGP. Great stuff. Great show. Great to be back, as we mentioned yesterday. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Oh, before we wrap it up, got to mention this because we decided on this today. It makes sense to do it this way. There's one NHL game on Sunday, and then there's 10 coming up on Monday. Well, Monday's Canadian Thanksgiving. And normally, I shut down the content for Canadian Thanksgiving usually. So there won't be an Ice Guys show on Monday for Canadian Thanksgiving. And a lot of the games are before 2 p.m. Eastern on Monday as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the Sunday game and all the Monday games on the Sunday show at noon Eastern. And we will be off Monday for Thanksgiving in Canada. No show. And it's actually also a U.S. holiday as well on Monday. And then we will be back Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for our regular show. So there you go. That's going to be the schedule. No show Monday, and we'll be back Tuesday right here on the Ice Guys. For Alex,
I have to say one thing. Can I say one thing? I forgot.
Go ahead.
I have a new show called Puck in Deep. You can come and check it
out.
Get out.
Yep.
So you guys can check me out on Monday. It's Puck in Deep, and we'll be on all Monday. So if you want your Monday fix, you can check me out there.
There you go. All right. Good
All
stuff.
right.
For Alex
Yeah.
B. Smith and Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.